I'm delighted to welcome Lucy Parker, who's going to talk to us today about her job. Before we speak to Lucy, let's see some of her work. That was fantastic, Lucy. So tell us a bit about what we've just seen, please.
So you saw a bespoke piece that I'd made recently with a lovely green sapphire, and you saw my work area, so my bench, me making some of my work, wax carving, which is a process that I do to make most of my pieces. So I carve it in the wax, send it off to get cast in the metal, and then once that's back, I then work on it, and that's the final thing. And you also saw a photo shoot. I do lots of photo shoots with my own work, so I really enjoy that. And you saw me at my pop-up shops, which I run. They are in...
Pop-up. What is a pop-up shop? Tell us more.
So a pop-up shop is just like a temporary shop. They usually run for a couple of weeks. I do mine for about a week with a group of friends from university. They're all jewellers, so we just set up for a week. We're called the Jewellery Pop-Up. And we usually do it in East London. So the ones that you've just seen, they were at Box Park in Shoreditch. And a guy from Rebels Create came along. So if you Google Rebels Create, they're a really good resource. They do podcasts, which you can listen to, and it's kind of supporting people like me, independent creative people. So they're really good if you want to have a Google. But they came by and it was really cool, and we got to chat to them.
That's brilliant. Okay, so you're a jeweler. What do you call yourself? A designer jeweler, a jeweler maker? What title would you use?
I'm a jewellery designer maker, and I'm also a stone setter. So I'm doing a bit of everything at the moment.
That sounds good. So now, tell me, what does that mean in reality on a day-to-day basis? What do you tend to do on a day-to-day basis?
So day to day, it's always different, which is what I like. I run my own business, so that's kind of the making side. So I'm making all the stock pieces from my main collection. I make bespoke pieces, so made to order for anyone that kind of wants something that they've thought of. I work freelance for another jeweler in London. He's an engraver. I kind of just like make his work before he engraves it, and it's in a really cool location at the Saraband Studios, so that's a fun environment to be in. And I do my stone setting training as well. So
now you're starting out on your career by the seam of things and doing really well. Is jewellery making and selling your jewellery your full-time occupation? Do you need to do other things or not?
So no, it's not my full-time. I do work freelance 2 days a week for another jeweler. You kind of have to do that really, especially at the beginning. And previously I worked at a clothes shop part-time, so it's quite nice to be able to actually do jewellery all of the time now. But before, I worked at Whistles, which is quite a nice clothes shop. The customers are very similar to my target market, so it's quite nice to kind of chat to them and get to know what they like. And it was quite good with pop-up shop experience as well, kind of talking to customers and running a shop. So
that's really good, because I know some of the makers we've spoken to, some of the artists we've spoken to, find that quite difficult. It's not easy for some people to engage with the public quite that way. So I think probably that's going to be an advantage for you. And initially I thought clothes shop, but when you think about it, jewelry, clothes shop, then actually there are some good links there. And I think that sounds to be sensible. And I know that many people watching this will realise that a portfolio career, to start with, you may have to do lots of other things, not simply whatever your passion might be. Okay, Lucy, what or who inspired you, do you think, to pursue a career in art and design?
So when I was at school, I just enjoyed art when I was in year 7, 8 and 9, and it was my teacher in year 9 that recommended at one parents' evening that I take art for one of my options for GCSE, and I absolutely had no idea that I would even, I'd never even thought that was an option, so that was really cool. So I did take her advice, and I just carried on doing that.
And when you, we'll talk about your progression route. So you did GCSE art. Did you go on to do A-level art after that?
Yes. So for my GCSEs, I did art and design and graphic design. And then I did, for my A-levels, art and design, graphic design, textiles and maths. And then no maths in the final year, just focusing all on art and design. Then I went on to do my art foundation year at Cambridge Regional College, which I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. So it was a really good year to kind of discover all of the different pathways. And I spent most of the time doing sculptures in 3D because I really enjoyed that. And I also really enjoyed photographing them. So I thought, I'll do fashion photography at university. Went to all of the open days with my mum. Dragged her around all of England pretty much, and then I changed my mind to do jewellery design because my teacher at the college said, do you know that you're making jewellery, or why don't you do that? You obviously really like that, and you can just photograph the stuff as and when, which I still do, so that's cool. So yeah, I changed my mind halfway through, and it was great because I got into Central St Martin's, which is where I always wanted to study, and that was a really big achievement for me. So it was really cool.
And when you went there, did you that's when you focused on jewellery? You went and did a jewellery course at Central?
Yes, BA jewellery design. So
very good. Very good.
Yeah.
And from then, your career really has taken off. So you left, you graduated, and then started your own business straight away. What happened then?
No, so when I graduated, I stayed in London for a few months interning for independent brands because I knew that that's what I wanted to do. But I also was applying for jobs, and I got a job in Cambridge as a junior designer for a company called Harriet Kelsall, and they do bespoke jewellery. So I was a junior designer, kind of talking to customers again. It was in the studio shop base, so everything I've done is kind of been with people and design. But yeah, it was a bit restrictive creatively. So I was working there, I was really enjoying it. I was learning a lot about that process, but I wasn't allowed to make my own jewellery, which was really hard creatively because you just want to do that. And so I started kind of looking for options, and it was just by chance that I met this guy in Huntingdon town centre, and he's a stone setter, and he said, do you want to learn setting? And I said yes. So I was just doing that casually, one day a week on my day off, and over time I kind of really started enjoying it. And he said, Lucy, you're really good, why don't you do this? And I said and then he said, I can't pay you. And I said, okay. So I had to plan what I was doing. It was a really big decision, but I did end up leaving my job to do the stone setting. And I knew that meant that I would have a really good trade, and I would also be able to focus on my brand. And that's when I left and I started working at Whistles and just kind of developed everything.
And tell us a bit more about what inspires you. What jewelry? I'm not very knowledgeable about jewelry. I like things when I see them, but what's your inspiration? Have you a distinctive style, or what's your work like? How do you describe it?
It's quite sculptural. I think kind of I'm inspired by people and what they're wearing, like their tastes. So a lot of it is a very traditional kind of, I do signet rings and hoop earrings and pendants, but they're very minimalistic, and they're everything I make is what I would wear. So I don't think I'd make something that I wouldn't wear for my own collection anyway. So yeah, I mean, I've got an earring here, like a big hoop. Oh, you've seen them all on the video, but it's all quite minimalistic, but also sculptural. So
I was going to ask another question. So you have experience in retail. Other people I've spoken to said it's quite hard at times to decide the price point, how much you're going to charge for work. Has that been an interesting, has been a challenge, or has that been easy for you to calculate how much to charge for your work?
So I think it's been okay for me because I had the experience at the jewellers in Cambridge, and I was working out prices pretty much every day there. And I've got a really good friend group of other jewellers, so we could kind of work it all out together. But yeah, I did also do a little bit when I was at university. They teach you that as well, and I kept all of my notes because I knew that I'd need that. But yeah, it's been okay.
Okay, Lucy, can I ask you, what are some of the barriers and challenges that you've faced to get to this point in your career?
I think one of the biggest barriers is kind of when I left my job to the full-time job to do this part-time. There's kind of, you have a lack of freedom in terms of money. So I live at home, but then that does take off pressure because I have so much time to kind of do my work, focus on my business, build that up. And yeah, it is quite hard to kind of learn how to make new things as well by yourself. But also, once you've kind of got over that and you have made it and you finished it and it's really cool, you get to show it to the person that's buying it, and that's really rewarding. So it's all like a balance, but I really enjoy everything, so it's good.
Lucy, it's fantastic. You really enjoy what you do. I've got a question for you about your customer base. So how do you build a customer base? How do you sell your goods without a shop? And how's that working for you?
It's actually fine because I use Instagram every day. So most of my customers come through Instagram. And then my website, it doesn't get a lot of traffic, but you do get the occasional order from that. But it's mostly, yeah, followers and direct messages through that to kind of order work. And my bespoke stuff, I would say that is a lot of it is word of mouth. So it is local customers coming to me, and I get to kind of meet them in a cafe or something like that, or a pub, and then we just have a drink and a chat and then design some jewelry.
So yet again, it is about, for you, it's about personal relationships. You are a people person, but actually, because jewelry could be quite an isolating thing, I'm sure, making jewelry. But you seem to have managed to meld those two things together. So you've got the interpersonal skills and also the creative skills. So tell me, if I wanted to order a piece of jewelry from your website, how long how quickly would I receive my jewelry?
So if it was a pendant or earrings, they would take about a week or less to come, depending on when I receive the order. But the rings, they're all made to order because they need to be made to your size, and also you can customize those, so I can get them engraved or I set stones in them, so that also adds on a bit of time.
So can I ask you, what personal, for people watching this video, what personal qualities do you think you would need to follow a career like yours in art and design? What personal qualities?
So I think you need to be good with people if you want to sell your work. So just kind of, yeah, people person definitely, and driven, motivated. You need to be able to motivate yourself and enjoy working on your own from time to time.
And so if you had a top tip or two top tips, what might they be?
Top tips. So don't put any pressure on yourself, because you've got loads of time. So I know probably right now you're like, what do I do? But it's okay, because even if you choose something now, you don't have to do that forever. And just do what you really enjoy doing. So just if you do that, then you're always going to want to wake up and do that, do your job. You're not going to wake up and think, oh, I don't want to go to work today. So just, yeah, do it, enjoy.
That's really interesting, Lucy. Thank you for sharing that with us. So I'd like to thank Lucy for joining us, and hopefully we'll speak to Lucy a little later in the panel discussion. But thank you very much.
Thank you.